God's chosen king, Jesus, had been killed by God's children. It was the saddest day. God's children had turned their backs on his love. They didn't want anything to do with God. This broke God's heart, but God kept on loving his children. He had already decided that nothing would ever stop his love for them. In fact, as he died, Jesus poured out even more love on God's children. Even though they had rejected him, Jesus gave the world the greatest gift. He took all the poison of sin into his own heart. He would die instead of God's children. Maybe this would make them realize how great God's love for them really was. After he had died, Jesus was buried in a cave, and Roman soldiers guarded it. They wanted to make sure that Jesus' body stayed in that cave. But 3 days later, early in the morning, something wonderful happened. Angels appeared at the cave. The ground shook. The soldiers were so shocked they all fainted, and King Jesus walked out, alive. Jesus had defeated death. The goodness in him was greater than all the poison of sin. Lucifer just couldn't stop his love. That love was bigger than all the badness and sadness on the earth. Lucifer had lost. God's takeover of the world could not be stopped. The poison was all gone. God's love was still there. Death was defeated, and now there was nothing to keep God's children away from him. The news about what had happened travelled fast. The first person to meet King Jesus was one of his friends, Mary. She told more of Jesus' friends, and then they met him too. They had thought that God's chosen king would stay dead. They had lost all hope. And now, all their hope had come back. And now, it was greater than ever. Some of God's children refused to believe the wonderful truth. They said that no one could defeat death, not even God's chosen king. They said that Jesus' friends must have gone crazy. They said that they must all be trying to trick everyone by pretending Jesus was alive. But Jesus really was alive. His friends saw him. His family saw him. Hundreds of people saw him. Not just once, but lots of times. They saw that he was truly and fully alive. They touched him and had dinner with him. People who hadn't believed that Jesus was God's king saw him, and they changed their mind. Jesus really was alive. And this meant that God's takeover of the earth really was going to happen. All badness and sadness was going to come to an end. Lucifer's terrible reign was over. God's love was now clear for all to see. He had taken his world back, and he was going to get his family back too.